Yes, we're doing our top 5 recovery movies. Top 5. 5. Jared is doing his top 3.
No, I got 5.
Okay, sweet. All right, surprise. Who wants to start? Or do you want to go around and you start?
I can start.
All right.
Are we going our favorite to our least favorite, or least favorite to our favorite?
Least. No, start number 5. Count down to your number 1. Your top. Your fave.
5, 2, 1.
Okay, 5. Ben is back.
Ooh.
Ben
4
is back.
Do you want to talk about why Ben is back on that list?
I just I don't really know. I just find them good movies, and you guys can talk about that stuff. I'll just tell you my top 5.
I like the name Ben.
Yeah. And he came back.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie, man.
I'm not very good with that.
On my list as well. Spoiler.
Ben is back is number 5. Beautiful Boy would be more. The Way Back would be number 3.
Ooh.
Flight with Denzel Washington, number 2.
Okay.
But fun fact, Denzel Washington's sober. And 28 Days is my favorite. Now that one I'll talk about because I watched that the day before I went to rehab. And rehab is nothing like that movie at all, but scared the shit out of me when I watched that movie the day before I went. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
We don't sing and dance and stuff like that in rehab.
Yeah, I can't remember 28 Days that well.
It's a really good movie.
Okay.
Well, it's your number 1. It's got to be good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Dave, you want to go next? Or you want me to go?
I can go next. I'd be absolutely honored to go next with my top 5.
Hear 'em. Dave's top 5.
Top 5 here. I try to go, a wide range of perhaps storylines, if you will, and issues. So number 5, Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Yeah, I watched it the other day again, and it's not that good of it's not really a super good movie, but I enjoyed I enjoyed Adam Sandler's character in it, and real issue of gambling, which isn't an issue I have, but I've always tried to stay away from the casino and stuff like that because I know I do have a bit of an addictive personality, and to get myself into trouble. So, but I just kind of enjoyed him breaking down, but I think you know what I mean. Just seeing it unravel his life, him chasing that next high. I think it was very real. I think probably a lot of people could relate to that movie if they have issues with that. So that's kind of why I went with that one. You got any questions on that, you guys? No? Okay. Number 4 is Blow. One of my favorite movies. What's that? Trigger. One of my favorite, used to be one of my favorite movies. Love Johnny Depp, and I'll tell you why I put this on the list, because it's not a very it doesn't really talk about addiction so much, but I think about the ending of the movie, and he was a drug dealer. He was out. He was reconnecting with his daughter, and then he decides to pull one more deal. And that cost him everything, right? He ended up going to jail, and his daughter hasn't talked to him. Maybe I should have said spoiler alert before I started saying this. I haven't seen it, but and I think a lot of people in addiction could probably relate to that. If they decide to go back, you can lose everything. Your family and possibly your life. So I think that was a good like parallel, just the drug dealer and addiction and that kind of thing. So that's why I chose that one. Number 3, this one is a little bit for Mark, because I know he loves love. It's a bit of a love story in there too, is Walk the Line. And I put that in there because the 3 of us watched it together.
That's a good movie.
Newgate. And I love me some Johnny Cash, a little love story between him and June Carter. And this one, I think it was good because it kind of talks, you get to see a little bit of like the, relationship between a couple and the struggles that go on with someone going through addiction. As much as Hollywood as the movie might have been, I think is relatable for certain people. So my number 2 is The Fighter, another movie we watched together. And the reason maybe I haven't watched a ton of movie nights. Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of movies, so I had to go with some ones I've seen recently. So Mark Wahlberg, one of my all-time faves. But this one I threw on there because you get to see, someone going through addiction and their like kind of family life and what they've gone through growing up. And, one brother kind of overcoming that circumstances in which he was raised and kind of getting, keeping himself clean. Another one that was severely struggling and ultimately has a good ending to the movie, I think. Yeah. So, but I like the family dynamic in the movie, that it got into. So that's why that was number 2. Number 1, it was number 3 on Jared's list, but it's number 1 on mine, is The Way Back with Ben Affleck. Just watched it the other night. It was honestly very tough for me to watch. I could relate to a whole shit ton that happened in that movie. It's a pretty recent movie. I just saw it for the first time. It's kind of like a take on Coach Carter, but Coach is an alcoholic. And yeah, there's just a lot of things. I mean, the storyline, I'm not going to give it away because it's a pretty fresh movie and a lot of people might not have seen it, but anyways, it hit home a lot for me on a lot of different things that happened with Ben Affleck's character. So although my stuff might not be as dramatic as what happened with him, but anyway, that's my number 1. So there's my top 5, fellas.
That is an incredible list.
Thank you.
I feel I was so unprepared for this.
No,
Sorry.
man. Dave, one thing I found cool about The Fighter, I like how it shows how like 2 people from the same like upbringing can kind of go different routes, and like you can, I guess, live and learn from what you've been through.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, that's that's kind of like, I enjoyed the movie in a whole, but like the background of like how they were raised and stuff like that. Exactly, that's kind of how that's why I put it up there. That's why I got to number 2, maybe not 3, number 2. And I have a couple honorable mentions, by the way. Sorry, honorable mentions. The Wrestler and Pixar Inside Out is a good, not necessarily addiction, but good for kids and teaching them
health, man.
Yeah,
I loved that movie. Inside Out, awesome movie.
Yeah. So
shows you what's going on up in that messed up brain.
My top 5. Okay. All right. Number 5 is Basketball Diaries. Dave reminded me of this bad boy. Basketball Diaries is absolutely fire. Leo is a basketball star, comes hooked on heroin. It's hard to watch, but it's an incredible movie. And you see it a lot, man. You see a lot of athletes, kind of pushing away for drugs. And, I think a lot of times we hold like athletes to different standards than other people, especially like professional athletes. And, it really just demonstrates that addiction doesn't discriminate. And Basketball Diaries is incredible. Number 4, I said I wasn't going to watch this movie on this podcast, But I recently watched it, and it instantly made my list. It is The Dirt. It was very hard to watch. But man, I think it accurately portrays what addiction is like in it's fun at first. And the beginning of that movie, they're partying, they're all having like a good time. And then, you get to that point where like in real life, you don't even realize it's happening, but it flips and it starts becoming not fun anymore. So while I was watching it, I was like, yeah, man, that fucking point happens. I think their manager is like looking at them and they all look miserable just from the amount of drugs they're doing. So anyway, it's sweet. Nikki Sixx is 21 years sober now, I believe. So that's a cool ending to that. That's fortunate. A lot of people don't have that ability or that chance to get sober. Number 3 is also on Jared's list. It is Ben is Back. I originally hated this movie when I watched it. But that's because it's so real. I prefer when the movies have happy endings, right? Not to spoil the ending of this movie. I guess it's kind of happy, but it's hard to watch. Ideally he comes back and everything's okay, but that's not the reality. And makes me think of my mom when I watch the movie. So it's like pulls on the heartstrings and mine and her relationship. And one thing I think, recovery has made mine and her relationship much stronger, being up here with her. So I was watching that, thinking of her, a little cry. That's going to be a common theme in my next 2. So yeah, Ben is Back's number 3. Shout out Julia Roberts. Number 2 is 6 Balloons. You guys see that?
I have not seen it. No.
Oh, you should watch it, man. It's super good.
Where
Dave
is it?
Franco. I watched it on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah. So the premise of the movie basically is just Dave and his sister. His name's not Dave in the movie, but Dave Franco plays it.
Oh, okay.
They're trying to find this like a rehab or a detox to take him in, and it's just like, oh man, did it ever pull on my heartstrings for the relationship between like myself and one of my sisters, who has been there for me just like countless times in my life. Was calling around rehabs, trying to find like a right fit for me, and coming to pick me up when I was just like going through like some of the worst times of my life. So she's always been there for me. That was a really emotional movie. Very hard to watch, but incredible to watch because it brings me back and reminds me of how far I've come. And number 1, also on Jared's list, is Beautiful Boy. And this one was the hardest movie to watch out of all of them, but it's good in a hard way because it reminds you how far you've come, and it could not be more close to like myself and my father's relationship. I'm also a big Steve Carell fan, but he does an excellent job compared to what I'm used to watching on The Office. So anyway, it's just about father-son's relationship and how it deteriorates, how they don't like, but he doesn't give up on him, and my dad never gave up on me, and I'm forever thankful for him for that. So that is my list, gentlemen. All right, if you or someone would like to be a guest on our show, hit us up in our information below, subscribe, comment, and follow us on Instagram, Off the Rails Recovery. Thank you very much for listening.